So the implications of AI and machine learning adoption are significant. And you already mentioned a couple of implications even before we get to AI and machine learning. And that was one, centralized is not always the way to go. Two, make sure that you're bringing the business along with you. That means being very closely tied and understanding each other. Data literacy, that's a great way to frame it. We find that there's a demand for results, but the data literacy in terms of translating that business problem into data science, or vice versa, translating the data science into something that's impactful for the business, there's perhaps a skills gap there, right? But what are some of the other implications as you organize to use AI versus just reporting, right? That's a big leap from reporting on data to satisfy regulatory things or to look over in the rearview mirror to see how you did quarter over quarter, year over year, things like that.
Yeah.
To give it truly, to move into AI and machine learning as foundational to making business impact in the organization, what changes for a CDO in terms of how the business is organized or how the data function is organized?
Well, I think there's a journey, right? Realistically, there's a bit of a journey from, a number of companies aren't even doing the looking back really well, right? And that is getting people in the organization focused on the right KPIs, because every time you start the journey towards a dashboard, everybody wants everything on the dashboard, right? They want something that has everything. And realistically, you probably want 6 things to measure, and you really need to get the business focused on. You're reducing the amount of data you need in that analytic so as it gets used. Because if you've got 50 different metrics on the dashboard, the likelihood is people are either confused or it's just not going to get the adoption that it needs. But then you move on. This is the journey of data literacy and adoption, because we shouldn't be delivering data products that don't have usage, because we're just throwing money down the drain when that's the case. So all the way through the delivery cycle, we need to make sure that the business are with us and that they're actually going to use the thing that we're delivering for them. Because if they're not going to use it, we're wasting the time, we should stop. And then once they're used to looking back in the right way and focusing on the KPIs, then they can start to look forward. And then we're into the world of, more advanced analytics and maybe even machine learning, right? So we're into that space. And then once they're used to the prediction component of the engine, then we need to start thinking about what are the AI use cases. And you recognize jumping from one all the way to AI is probably asking quite a lot of someone. I'll give you an example. We looked at prediction, and the people whose jobs it impacted wanted their prediction in the model, right? They wanted to be able to override the prediction with their gut feel. And I think that's a really normal thing, right? And, you've got on one side, the business saying, hey, I don't trust your algorithm. And you've got on the other side, the data scientist saying, hey, I don't trust your gut feel. Well, guys, you have 2 data points. Let's use them both, right? Because ultimately that override is a great way to see what the difference is between the algorithm and the human instinct. Yeah. And that's a useful data point in itself. So you have to bring people with them and accept that they may have fear on this journey and embrace it. Have empathy for it, embrace it. Because, you may have been in the business 10 years, 20 years, but they're just being confronted with a massive change in the business.